Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I'm just going to wait a couple of minutes and then we'll begin. We'll just giving other people an opportunity to join in, inshallah. I can go for Snickers right about now, Ibrahim. Okay, we've hit a handful, so I'm gonna start now. And أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أفضل الصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. So it's really nice to connect with folks again. I know we haven't connected in a long time, myself personally, but this is a series that we're calling Inner Dimensions of Fasting. And one of the things that I think is important to highlight here is that I'm constantly hearing, oh, this Ramadan is not going to be the same. We're not going to have Taraweeh. We're not going to be visiting our friends and family, and it's not going to be the same. We're in quarantine, and that whole feeling that you have being tied to the masjid, it's not going to be there. And what I would say to that is really that we have an opportunity to make this the best Ramadan ever. Why do I say that? Why do you think we can actually make this the best Ramadan ever? So just a quick question to a couple of you. Give me a couple of your initial thoughts in the chat, inshallah. It has nothing to do with Snickers either. Okay, so no thoughts from the crew yet. But what I would say is that this has an opportunity. So Rolla was saying there's a chance to focus more on your self-reflection and our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instead of our relationship with others around us. Perfect, mashallah, Rolla, perfect answer. Because Ramadan, by its nature, gives us an opportunity to look within ourselves. And actually now we're getting some more answers. We have enough time to spend with our family, pray together, share spiritual thoughts, etc. Tasneem, beautiful answer, mashallah. And Ibrahim, there's no chance for argumentation, right? Exactly. So if you really look at it in the right context, this has an opportunity to be even the best Ramadan ever. Because by its nature, Ramadan is an opportunity for us to look inwards in ourselves, see how we can improve, how can we be better, what can be done so that we can actually enter the month one person and exit the month a completely different person, right? A much better person. One who doesn't backbite, for example, one who's not maybe in the bad habits that we typically find ourselves into, right? So not only is this Ramadan an opportunity for us to look inwards into our own selves, but we can actually look within our own families and within our own homes, those people that are closest to us, and how could we, fix relationships in our families? How can we fix and repair things? Maybe there was grudges, and maybe there's something that you are holding, or somebody's holding against you, that you can actually have now the opportunity, since you're within the same house or you're within the same confine, so you have an opportunity to improve yourself, to self-reflect, but to also reflect with other members of your family and your homes and your families, those people that are closest to you. So just to give you one personal example, Ramadan we're now into day 3 of Ramadan, and during the normal days, I'll be working, and my kids will be at school, and maybe some of them will be working, etc. And everybody's praying at different times. Well, we've agreed upon certain times now in the day where we're going to gather together, despite no matter what you're doing elsewhere, no matter what happens to be preoccupying you, you're going to drop what you're doing and come to the prayer room so that we can pray together as a family at certain intervals within the home. So this is a mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during this special month. And I want you guys to be thinking about how you can look inwards for yourself, and then look within inwards to your home, and make this the best time or make this the best Ramadan you've ever experienced. So one other thing I would say about the prayer is that الصلاة تألف بين القلوب. It unites those who pray together. They will find their hearts unified together and coming up with an agreement like we agreed upon with even my members of the family, right? So maybe what wasn't possible before is now possible because we have this opportunity within this special month. Is everybody clear on that, or do I hope I'm being clear with how I'm describing it. Um, so the first thing I want to concentrate on when it comes to Ramadan is the verse in the Quran that actually tells us about Siyam. And what I want to do is actually throw it out to the audience for a quick question, and I want you to answer your thoughts about what are possible answers. But one thing that I come across with those that I work, and I'm sure you guys come across it too with those that you go to school, is why do you fast? There should be a reason why we're fasting. If a non-Muslim approaches you at school, at work, or your neighbors, they may very well ask you, why do you fast? Right? So what is your typical answer when you're asked that particular question? To feel like poor people. Okay. So I guess to understand what poor people feel like. Okay, mashallah, this is another good answer. Okay. Salam Hajr. So to discipline myself. Okay. So you really hear a wide range of reasons, and we may have different ways to express that. So, like even just in this chat here, we have 3 different reasons, at least, and I'm sure there are more coming. But if you go into the Quran, right, verse 183 in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. So the correct answer is for us, لعلكم تتقون, meaning that he's prescribed the month of fasting for us, like he's prescribed for other people from before us, so that we can attain taqwa or God consciousness. The best definition, it's really a tough word to translate taqwa to English, but the best that I have found is God consciousness, to be mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to get closer spiritually to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us that explanation. Okay, we need to attain taqwa or attain God consciousness. Right now, it's funny because the word taqwa is mentioned over 150 times in the Quran. So while it's one of the side effects, I'll call it, of fasting, may be to feel empathy with those that are poor, or it may be now you have people that are doing intermittent fasting, right? So it's not that odd anymore. Maybe 15, 20 years ago, or even longer, when I was, for example, in growing up in the 90s, the month of Ramadan wasn't as well known as it is today. So they would ask you, "Oh, you're fasting from water, even you can't eat or drink." So all these all these explanations for fasting, they may be side effects. Yes, we get to feel empathy with the poor. You may even get a healthier body from fasting the 39 days because you cleanse your system, but that's not the main reason. It's not the hadaf. It's not the purpose of your fast. The purpose of your fast is to attain that God consciousness, and then you're going to enter the month and leave the month a completely different person. So that's something I wanted to highlight. The word taqwa has been mentioned in the Quran over 150 times, right? For example, in Surah Al-Hujurat, verse 13, Surah 49, verse 13. إن أكرمكم عند الله إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم. Those that are most honorable under Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are those that have the most taqwa. Okay, in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying you're the most honorable if you have that level of taqwa that He wants us to attain in this month. And in Surah Talaq, I'm just gonna open up my Quran app here so I could read these verses. But in Surah Talaq, there's actually 3 verses, one after the other, subhanallah, that describe the benefits of taqwa, right? So بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ومن يتق الله I'm sorry. ومن يتق الله I'm sorry. ومن يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا ويرزقه من حيث لا يحتسب. So verses 2. So this is Surah Talaq, Surah 65, verses 2 and 3. Basically, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, for you that have attained that taqwa, I will provide for you a way out of every difficulty, a way out of a relief from every concern or every some difficult thing or every hardship that you're going through. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide you a way out. It will provide you that relief that you need so that you can continue with calmness and peace in your heart, right? So that taqwa becomes so important now. And then in the very next verse, min haythu la yahtasib, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, from unexpected sources, He will provide for you that way out that you never considered. Okay, so for example, and by the way, to participate, uh, to participate in this month and to attain taqwa, right? You need to see everything as coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let me give you an example, another personal example that I just realized just yesterday. Subhanallah. So I'm actually short on the disposable gloves. I have my mask uh, on my trusty mask when we go outside and I go get shopping, for example. I'll have a mask, but I've been running low on gloves. So I've gone out to. Thank you, Ibrahim. If I could get those gloves soon, I'd appreciate it. So anyway, I went out to Costco. I've gone out to Home Depot, and I was considering going to Lowe's, but I had to come back to the house and, and do something really quick. And then I open up my mailbox, and I have a package from my dad. So I thought it was odd because I certainly wasn't expecting anything from him. But I open up the package, and in it, he's put dozens of gloves for me that came from an unexpected source, right? And that's why I see that as, yes, it's coming from my dad, Jazahullah khair, and I appreciate my dad doing that for me. But the ultimate end, excuse me, is that it's coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So I'm sorry, I can't drink water, but you get the point, is that it's coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from unexpected sources, right? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide for you out of every difficulty and will make things easy for you. In verse 4, so it's really three verses. First, in the same surah, Surah Al-Talaq, Surah Al-Talaq 65, but ayahs 2, 3, and 4 describing the benefits of taqwa. So incredible verses, subhanallah. One of the other things that I'd like to concentrate on too is that, um, when you have God consciousness, you have that remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have that God consciousness, and you're constantly thinking of Him. You're participating in the things that please Him, and you're doing the things that please Him. You're avoiding the things that displease Him, right? And remember the verse. The verse is in Surah 13, Ayah 28. ألا بذكر الله تطمئن القلوب. Okay, that certainty, that healing. Okay, تطمئن القلوب. Your heart has to feel. Your heart has to feel certainty. Your heart has to feel healing. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us the only way you could do that is through His remembrance. The only way your heart will feel total tranquility, total peace, is through the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, and I see Ibrahim putting in the chat, it is interesting, subhanAllah, that this this is a surah about talaq or divorce, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again is saying that this is a way out for you, and He will make you a path out of every difficulty and make it easy for you, and from sources totally unexpected. So with that, I know in the Surah 78, verse 31, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the successful ones are those that have taqwa. Okay? قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُتَّقُونَ. Right? Those are the ones who are successful. Those are the ones who will go to paradise. Okay? So it becomes really important now, how do I attain that taqwa? Right? So one other thing, and we'll go into that in the weeks ahead, inshallah, in the lessons that are coming, inshallah. Now, one thing that I want to also mention uh, with regard to Ramadan is that this month, subhanallah, you get to flip this month versus what you usually do during the normal times of the year. So during the normal times of the year, you fill up your belly. You can't, I can't. I have four boys, so I hear them. Oh, I'm hungry. What could I eat? I'm bored. I'm this. I'm that. But subhanallah, you may even go to the gym and you concentrate on building your muscles and lifting weights, and you take care of yourself physically very well, right? When you're tired, you'll go to sleep, right? But the spiritual side, you don't take care of it as well, right? But now during this month, everything is now flipped on its end. So now you're putting aside your physical concerns, your sleep. You may pray your tarawih and disregard sleep, right? You're putting aside that what's normally halal to you, your food and your drink, and the benefits that you're getting from the nourishment and the benefits that you're getting from your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You're putting that on the side for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure, right? So you're putting aside your physical needs at this time for your spiritual. So this month is really a spiritual boot camp, right? It's a training ground for your spiritual side, so that again, by the end of the month, you're a completely strengthened and you're a completely new or a completely different person. And you could take on the distractions of the world, your work and your school and your concerns and maybe family and other things that typically will distract us from being the best slaves and servants to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So during this time, we need to discipline ourselves. So this Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us this chance to discipline and control our desires, right? This is a chance to become a better Muslim. This is a chance to now teach our nafs, discipline our nafs, that we're in control. It's not the other way around. It's not my desires are in control of me. No, I am in control of those desires. And I say when I can, how much I can eat and when I can eat, and I'm always in control of that. But during the normal times of the year, your stomach is dictating, oh, I want to eat, I want to eat, I want to eat. All right. So some of the other benefits of this blessed month, right, is that sincerity. Number one, al-ikhlas. So, so I have a quick question here from Allah. How do you feel? I'm sorry. How do you not let the spiritual progress you made throughout the month wear off as Ramadan passes? So, one of the things I would recommend. So, I think your question is that okay? Once Ramadan is over, how do I take those effects and make it last throughout the year? Is that your question, Rola? And if that is the question, if I understand you correctly, the best thing that I could tell you to do is, you know, um, how about fasting the 6 white days, right? Maybe incorporate fasting into your schedule. So, for example, like I said before, the non-Muslims today, at work, I've gotten into discussions with people about intermittent fasting, right? Well, there's been scientific research that's put forward the idea that if you fast twice a week, that's ultimately very healthy for your body. Well, that's following the sunnah of our messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So why wouldn't I do that and get the sawab for that by following his sunnah, right? Why does it have to come from the non-Muslim sources where now they're following the sunnah? Now I see the wisdom in it, and I follow it, right? I would say, Rula, maybe we can incorporate some of the non-obligatory fasting, the 6 white days, maybe Monday and Thursday, just to give yourself a reminder that you are in control of your nafs, and you are in control of those desires. Each and every one of us has desires, and they may be, yeah, we have weak points, so we may fall and hit a bump in the road, so to speak, but come back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He is the most merciful. Okay, and one thing I will say, another verse that I'll share. And by the way, when I mention these verses to you, I wouldn't really like you to hit upon them. So read them in between the lessons that we'll have here, inshallah, because these ayahs are very powerful, and like I said, they'll give you some reasoning and purpose behind your fast. So when I'm telling you that these are the reasons that we're fasting, yes, you'll actually see that these verses are. You can actually expand upon these verses once you're reading them offline, not necessarily while we're together. But I'm mentioning them so that you can read upon them while you're offline. So the verse that I'll mention next is Surah Al-A'raf, verse 156, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَسَعَتْ رَحْمَتِي كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. Okay, but he specifically says, for the muttaqun, I especially reserve a special spot for my mercy for those people. So subhanallah, what more motivation do we need in order to get that taqwa and attain the love and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And I'll tell you what, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is better than love, because mercy incorporates His love. Mercy is going to incorporate His love, right? So you have a special spot with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if you are considered a muttaqi, or one who's God conscious or mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So any questions on anything I've mentioned so far? Because I want to hit upon a couple other points, but I do want to give you this opportunity to ask me any questions. So I'm just going to pause for a minute and give you an opportunity to ask questions that I may have skipped or may not have addressed. So that verse, so I'm reading it now. وَرَحْمَتِي وَسَعَتْ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ فَسَأَكْتُبُهَا لِلَّذِينَ يَتَّقُونَ. Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has reserved a special spot of His mercy specifically for al-muttaqun. That is an amazing ayah, and it should be incredible motivation for all of us to attain that taqwa. At least put it in our intentions to pursue it, and inshallah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will write us down among those muttaqun, inshallah. All right, I'm not seeing any questions at this point, so I'm gonna. Okay, so I have a question here about what's the difference between khushu' and taqwa. So that's a great question, Ibrahim, and khushu' is the way I understand it, and we should talk to Sheikh Samir or Sheikh Rida and actually confirm this. But the way I understand khushu' is it's an element to be used within taqwa. So taqwa is God consciousness, and khushu' is a tool to be used, that humbleness, that awe, that reverence that you have for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a tool to be used to attain that level of God consciousness. So I hope that helps. But I see khushu', that you could use khushu', inshallah, to build up your levels of taqwa and improve your status in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one other thing I will say is that in many spots in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Al-aqibat lil-muttaqin." Okay, the best ending is for those who have taqwa, those who have God consciousness. Right? So, do we want the best ending? Listen, look at stories in the Quran. Okay, look at Sayyidina Musa. He had difficulties he went through so many different ordeals with Pharaoh, but at the end he had the best ending. At the conclusion of the story, al-muttaqun always win. So don't judge a matter at halftime. The game's not over. Okay, don't judge a matter at halftime. Okay, you have to have that patience to take it to the end, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then gives you that victory, right? So it becomes very important, okay, to realize the wisdoms, the lessons learned from the prophets and the stories of those prophets alayhim salam in the Quran, right? So Sayyidina Musa, he had to flee Egypt, and he had to do, he had to be put into a basket along the river, and there were different obstacles that had to come. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided a way out of every difficulty, made his path easy, right? And provided for him from sources unexpected. Who would have thought that he would be raised in the house of his mortal enemy? Subhanallah, right? Same with Sayyidina Yusuf, alayhi salam. Look, he says, السجن أحب إلي من ما يدعوني إليه. He says, I prefer actually to go to prison over what they're calling me to, and they're calling to me to evil and vicious things. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the very end, provides him a way out from unexpected sources. So we have to use this month. Yes, we can't be tied to the masjid like we normally would. We have to, we can't be visiting our friends and being tied to the community as we normally would. But this is an opportunity to make this the best Ramadan by looking inwards, attaining that taqwa, and seeing how we can improve ourselves and readying ourselves to hit the next 11 months and in pursuit of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure. So I hope you enjoyed this talk. These are going to be short talks. I don't want to go beyond half hour, and I think we've done that already. So I apologize for breaking my own rule. But the one thing I think we'll go into during the next couple of sessions is the 3 different grades of fasting. So there's the ordinary fasting, which is your fasting from food and drink, the ones that are typically for most of us. Then there's the special type of fasting where you refrain your eyes, your ears, your hands, and your feet from doing sin. That's a special grade. So you have the ordinary fasting on one level. You have the special grade of fasting, and then you have the fasting of the elite at the very, very top. And this is where you have no worldly concern. All you're thinking about is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout your daily life. And we'll go into more details about that, inshallah. Those are the 3 grades that Imam Ghazali gives. Those are the 3 grades of fasting that Imam Ghazali covers. And we'll review those in more detail in the future. And one of the last things I'll hit upon before we leave is there's a hadith on the Prophet ﷺ where he says Some people fast and all they get out of the fasting is hunger and thirst. So let's not be among those people. When we're fasting, let's refrain from backbiting. Let's get out of that habit. Let's refrain from lying and cheating, and maybe we're not treating somebody in the family, with justice, complete and utter justice. So if you're short with somebody, maybe you owe them something in terms of a right. Give them that right? But don't be among those people that are fasting and all they're getting is hunger and thirst. You want to get the full su'ab out of your fasting. You want to get the whole reward from the most merciful. Okay, so put that intention in. No backbiting during this month and beyond. No lying during this month and beyond. Some of our family members maybe they smoke cigarettes and they're in that habit. No doing this from this. You were able to stop for 16 hours. You can do it now for the whole day, right? This is the momentum that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us so that we can attain that level of taqwa and improve our relationship and get closer to Him and attain God consciousness. So I'm gonna stop here. It is at 6:38. Again, I apologize for going slightly over. We are going to be meeting every Sunday and every Tuesday throughout the month of Ramadan. I hope you enjoyed this and benefited from it. If you have any improvements, any points, or any questions, please send them in now. But I always welcome your feedback and appreciate you spending your time just before Maghrib, inshallah, with me, with us. Jazakumullah khair. Is anybody still there? Inshallah, Hajar. Jazakumullah khair. Thanks for tuning in. All right. I'm going to give you opportunity to finish off the day in the best form. Please read those verses that I highlighted. And I'll see you next week, inshallah. See you Tuesday, inshallah, at 6 o'clock, same time. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum.